Hey everyone, Sar here. This is a video on report speech, backshifting, and some recommendations. So let's get to it. So when to use say or tell? It all depends on what you want to focus. If you want to focus on the message, you're going to use say, or in this case, well, you're going to use the past, said. If you want to focus on the person who received the message, whether it's you or other person, it's better to use this one right here, tell. Now, it's extremely important to pay attention to this part, and it's something that is called backshifting. Backshifting is when you have to change the tense to a past or a past version of it. That happens when you report something. When you listen to something that naturally it's in present, once you report it, you're going to report it in past. So if it is in present continuous, you're going to report it in past continuous. Now, if you listen to something that is in past or present perfect, the backshifting has only one option, that is the past perfect. Now, if something has to be reported from the past perfect, well, we have nowhere else to go, so we just stay like that. I'm going to have some examples of backshifting with some of the uses right next, okay? But in this part, in case you have any problems with verb tenses, I do recommend you to study them a little, because this part needs some accuracy to be executed well. So I'm going to start with say. Say is really simple. The past is said, as I just mentioned before. And imagine the following situation. Mom's got a friend whose name is Ricardo. He's a close friend, or it could be even your uncle. It doesn't matter. And she's going to say this to you. She's going to say that Ricardo is coming for lunch. Then you are talking with a friend and you're like, well, my mom said Ricardo was coming for lunch. As you can see here, the message that you listened was in present, but you used here the past. This is an example of backshifting. Okay, all of the examples here have backshifting. For example, once you get a job, you're going to listen to your boss saying something not so nice, like, hey, I haven't read your report yet. Then you're going to complain with your coworker. Well, my boss said that he hadn't read my report yet. Note this. Using the conjunction that, it's optional. It all depends. So maybe when you say that, you have like some time to think what you're going to say, but that's it. It's not mandatory to use it. Okay? And here I have another example that is basically a shift of past into past perfect. Like, imagine that you're in the veterinarian, you're at the vet, and your dog was sadly attacked by, or mauled by a bigger dog. So he's going to say like, hey, well, the bite just grazed the neck. Grazed is like it barely touched it, but still some damage can be seen. So then you go to your parents, all sad and everything, and you say, oh, well, the vet said that the bite had just grazed the neck. Yeah, so you see here, the backshifting from past to past perfect. Okay, now we're going to use tell for the following example so you get a hold of it, okay? Now, the next one. Maybe you're eavesdropping and you overheard your mom talking to your sister. If you don't have a sister, imagine you have one. And as you were eavesdropping, or basically behind the door listening to, well, other people's conversation, don't do that. You're going to mention the following to a friend, maybe because you don't like Ricardo. Well, my mom told my sister Ricardo was coming, okay? So two changes. The first one, obviously, that the past of tell is told, so keep that in mind. The second is, well, we still have to use backshifting. Like, that's the primordial part here, okay? And that we have to report, obviously, the person. When we use tell, we have to mention the person. There's no way to use tell and directly the message, okay? Or example, imagine that you have a job. Same thing, but well, the boss is talking to the accountant. Again, you're eavesdropping. Don't do that. The budget is limited next year, so you're gonna be all like, ooh, you know what? The boss told the accountant the budget was limited next year, okay? Keep in mind that time expressions need to be changed sometimes, okay? In this case, no, because next year is still next year. Yeah. But anyway, pay attention to time expressions when they have to be shifted to. And we go again to a veterinarian, but with a little change. So we are talking about, well, let's imagine that you have a friend called Gina. Okay, and Gina has got a cat. So Gina is surprised because her cat attacked a hamster or whatever. And she's going to be all like, okay, my cat was eating a hamster. And the veterinarian is going to go all Captain Obvious, and he's going to say, well, cats eat other small animals. For cats, it's natural. So we can go like this. The vet told Gina, cats eat other animals. As you can see here, backshifting doesn't necessarily happen. Why? Because this is not a message, this is a fact. And when we have facts, well, we try to stick to the present simple. Oh, well, other things when you consider backshifting is that, well, we usually don't have it as easy all the time. We're not going to do, okay, present to past, past to past, perfect. Sometimes there are some exceptions, and these are usually with modal verbs, the ones that we have here. So if you listen to something like with can, well, the backshifting version is gonna go with could. Yeah. So maybe I'm using an obscure reference, but MC Hammer, the rapper, like when he's saying, well, you can't touch that, or you can't touch this, well, it's the same thing. No, it's not the same thing. MC Hammer says you can't touch this, so you're like, okay, MC Hammer said we couldn't touch that. Look at this, look at that. It has to change, of course, it has to change. That's the logical order. Well, it all depends the visual or whatever you have at hand. Okay. Another one could go with the use of will. If we have will here, the backshifting is gonna go with would. Imagine that Mike promised you to, I don't know, that you will go next week, whatever. I have no idea where you're gonna go. And sometimes some other verbs can replace tell and say, because it's unnecessary to repeat everything. So, for example, Mike promised we would go next week. In this case, promised works just as well as using tell or say. So it all depends on what you want to say. So these are the basic rules for report speech. I hope you keep an eye on them, study them, practice them. You know that practice makes perfect, and you're going to be able to do it in no time. I trust that you will. So the next step after this is, once you learn how to report affirmative and negative sentences, you should then check the videos about how to report questions, because rules change a little, and I'm not going to add it here because it will be like too overwhelming. So there's going to be a separate session for reporting questions, reporting orders, and for other reporting verbs. Okay, so without further ado, you're free to go. Bye. See ya.